game.
Welcome back. We are tracking the face-off between Indian and Chinese troops at the Nakula area near Sikkim and also the Galwan Valley region in Ladakh. Remember, there has been a tense standoff between Indian and Chinese forces in these two areas between the 5th and the 9th of May. We are hearing of troop deployment as well. We believe that the two sides also came to blows with each other, and there are set protocols for easing tensions, and those protocols are being used right now. Yes, so we're getting you an exclusive report on this story now. These tensions show no signs of abating anytime soon. Both sides have reinforced troop deployment in a few more sectors along the unresolved border in eastern Ladakh amid heightened tensions. The Chinese have built bunkers, pitched tents and dug trenches in the area. Tensions escalated on May 9th when 250 Indian and Chinese troops engaged in a violent face-off in Pangong So. More than 70 Indian soldiers were badly injured in the clash as well. Shreya Dhondeyal getting us that exclusive report. She's tracking the Defence Ministry for us. Shreya, there have been several transgressions. Transgressions have seen a big rise, but these don't look like ordinary transgressions. How do you compare this to what we saw in Doklam in 2017?
You're certainly and absolutely right that you cannot compare what is happening right now at the LAC, especially in eastern Ladakh, to what happened in Doklam or what has happened previously. If you just look at the statistics over the last many years, there are some 500 transgressions that happen along the LAC because of what the Indian Army and the Indian security establishment calls a difference in perception. But this time what we are seeing is certainly very different, and this is what experts are pointing out to us. First, they say look at the geographical spread of all the skirmishes that is taking place. This is not localized. This is not in one area, unlike Doklam. This is spread all along eastern Ladakh, at least in 3 spots, and Nakula in Sikkim as well. So, you know, if it is not localized, it obviously means it has been planned. This skirmish has been planned at a higher level, not at the local level. That is the one big difference that is being pointed out. The second big difference is this. Usually there are, as you rightly mentioned, border mechanisms to solve issues like this. In this case, we are being told that there have been 5 rounds of meetings between the local commanders, and yet the standoff, as we know it right now, continues. China has refused to back off. Thirdly, and very importantly, the fact also is that we are being told that China right now doesn't even want to communicate with India on the issue. While there are diplomatic channels that are always on, back channels that are always on, even between the two armies, there's a hotline that is always on. In this case, it seems China is not willing to relent, which is why 20 days on, Parikshit, we see that this standoff still continues, and it doesn't look like it's abating anytime soon. If you just look at all the satellite imagery that is coming to us, and I'm quoting satellite imagery particularly because all the reports that we are getting from the ground, a lot of it is speculation because there is no reporter on the ground. The Indian Army is not speaking on it. The Indian establishment is not speaking on it. The only time they are stepping out to comment on anything is when they need to issue a denial. So there are no official reports coming in. So I'm citing satellite imagery to say that, the Chinese have dug in bunkers, are making bunkers, and these are looking like semi-permanent structures. There are warehouses that have been built as well, trenches that have been dug as well. There are heavy vehicles that have been spotted in the area. There are helicopters that have been spotted near the LAC as well. These are Chinese helicopters. They have not crossed into Indian airspace, but they have been spotted there as well. So tensions right now are very high, but the Indian establishment not willing to say much at this point of time.
All right. Thank you very much, Shreya, for putting that story in perspective for our viewers. Definitely an unprecedented situation. We have seen a 68 to 70% rise in transgressions, but this is no ordinary transgression. We are seeing the Chinese side pitch tents and bring in heavy vehicles in the area as well. Let's wait and see what happens over the next few hours and days to come. After 2 months of being grounded, domestic flights resumed today. Although in a restricted manner, Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri announced that all domestic flights will recommence across the country, barring 2 states, Andhra Pradesh, which will start on Tuesday, and West Bengal, which will begin on Thursday. At least 11 states and union territories have mandated either institutional or home quarantine for arriving passengers. The government informed airlines about the cautiousness of state governments in allowing people flying into their borders in large numbers. Airlines were asked to display all state-specific information on their websites besides other information necessary for passengers to know ahead of flying. Let's go across to our team of reporters now. Rishika Sadam joining us from the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport in Hyderabad. Rishika, tell us about the number of flights that would be coming into the state.
Well, Parikshit, today it will overall be 30 flights departure and arrival in Hyderabad. The first flight took off at 8:10 in the morning. That's Hyderabad to Vidyanagaram, and the first arrival was from Bengaluru to Hyderabad. That came in at 8:30. I'm right now at the departure terminal. Before showing you the arrival, I'll quickly show you what's happening at the departure. A little while ago, there were a lot of passengers here wanting to go to Delhi, and they've been complaining that there's been no communication from the airlines if that's cancelled or it's going on. You can see, ideally there is no seating arrangement in this area, but because the flights have resumed starting today, the seating arrangement being made outside, so that there's no waiting area inside. And towards my right, I request my camera person to show, that's the area where passengers are being taken inside. The people you see in the frame are helping the passengers with e-boarding as well as the download of the app. And we're also being told inside the airport at the boarding counters, shields are kept so that there's minimal contact between passengers and help desk. So what you see right now in the frame is the arrival area. You can see police security, you can see people, and as we speak, the Chief Secretary of the state has just gone inside to inspect what kind of measures are being taken, is screening being done. He's inside the arrival area. For security reasons, we cannot go closer to that particular area. Now, if we talk about quarantine procedure in Telangana, there's no mandatory quarantine at all, except for people who are showing symptoms at the airports. They'll be taken to institutional quarantine, but rest of them can just self-monitor themselves at home.
Okay.
But meanwhile, Andhra Pradesh will test all the passengers coming to the state.
All right. Thank you very much, Rishika, for joining us. Karnataka will be quarantining all incoming passengers from 6 states with highest infection count. Here's a report from Kempegowda Airport on the steps being followed.
I'm here at the Kempegowda International Airport here in Bengaluru, and as you can see, flights have been arriving since early morning. A lot of passengers, in fact, we're expecting almost over 100 flights to land into Bengaluru, whereas over 107 flights also to depart from Bengaluru. Right now, a flight from Tamil Nadu that has arrived, and remember, Tamil Nadu comes among those 6 high-risk states, and which is why people traveling, passengers from there, will have to go into a compulsory 7-day paid institutional quarantine facility. Now, this is something that the government has put in its standard operating procedure. Persons from here will be taken by buses, like you can see, which are all lined up here. They will be sent to the paid quarantine center. Now, there are budget hotels that one can opt for. There are 3-star and 5-star hotels. Remember, passengers will have to pay for this from their own pocket for these 7 days that are mandated.